If you like fun, colourful critter cards, then hang around. I've got 5 cards to share with you today. Hi there, it's Therese from Lost in Paper, and it's time to Give Me 5 with Penny Black. I have 4 bright colours of cardstock to inspire me today. I love using colour in my card. If you've been here before, you already know that. And they have this amazing balloon die set. It has 2 different size balloons, and I cut a stack of these out to create my first card, which is probably my favourite one today. But don't tell the other cards, because they might get jealous. Alright, so I have decided to cover the whole front of my card with these balloons. I want to pop them all up. I've added a fun sentiment. There's a couple of sentiment sets that I'm using today, and there's one called Birthday Humour, and I use that, I think, like on 3 of the cards today. It's got some really, really fun little sentiments on it. And I've white heat embossed the sentiment itself on one of the balloons, and I'm adding some fun foam because I want to pop up each of the balloons, and I just use a bit of score tape because I know that's going to hold really well on the back of my cards. And I've also got this little balloon set. It's really sweet because it's got a couple of different strings that you can add to the balloons as well, so like a squiggly one or a more straighty one, and also a bow. I didn't actually use the bow today. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe I could have. But anyway, I just laid out all these balloons on the front of my card, and then after I'd adhered them, it was easy enough just to flip the card over and just cut away the edge pieces. And I find this is, for me, the easiest way to cut down a card to the perfect size. I know the guillotines are a really good tool for this as well. I'm just not good at those. I have one, and I haven't bonded with it. And I think it's actually user error more than anything. Now, like I said, this is about critters and balloons. I don't think I've actually said it. I think it was the title. Now I'm saying it. This is critters and balloons. There's 5 cards. They've all got a critter on them, and they've all got this, using this balloon die set as well. So I've chosen quite a few of the critters here that have already got sort of balloons or things in their hands, and it makes it look like they're coordinating with the balloons. So this little sweetie is from the Furry Hugs stamp set, and I just quickly did some colouring with some Copics and fussy cut him out, and also cut into his hand so that it actually looks like he's holding the balloon string, and popped him up on the front of my card. It makes me smile. He's so cute. Alright, so I'm going to start on my second card now, and this is going to be a shaker. Now, I wanted the balloon. This is the smaller of the 2 balloons. They're quite big dies actually, and I just want to partially die cut it. And because I've put my die on the corner, I couldn't use my normal plate for the big shot because it wouldn't have rolled through and just cut the portion that I wanted. So what I did was grab another plate out of another machine, and that worked really well. So that meant I was only die cutting the section of the balloon, and I could leave a border around. So I just want to cut that border away, and I'm eyeballing this, so it isn't perfect, and if I did it again I'd probably do it better, but no one's really going to notice, I don't think. So how cool is that? So this is actually going to be the front of my card and the shaker portion. I'm going to stamp my image directly on the card, so I just masked off the balloon that this little hedgehog was carrying, and then I could just stamp it. I've been stamping in Memento Tuxedo Black because I know that I can colour really quickly with my Copic markers for that. And then what I like to do is actually, after I've done my colouring, come back in and restamp the image. So that's why I'm using my Misty each time, so I can restamp the image in a pigment ink. And I find that that just gives me those really sharp black lines that I've lost while I'm colouring, or You know, like the Memento, it is one of my favourite inks to use with Copics. It's just not a really black ink. And I know you can get them. I just really like the Memento. And it doesn't tend to bleed. I can colour straight away with it, whereas some of the other blacker inks I've found you do need to wait 20 minutes or heat set it before you colour it. Alright, so now I'm working on the front of my side fold landscape card. I've added some blue cardstock to the front of the card, and then I want to attach some of this striped acetate paper. Is it paper? Striped acetate. It's so sweet. And I just actually put some adhesive behind the front of my cardstock and picked that up. And I'm adding some multicolours of sequins to sit behind it. I've created a window and also popped up the rest of the front of the panel for the top of the card, and I can just attach that to the front. I have a sentiment that I've heat embossed, and this is from the Good Wishes stamp set, and this is a solid die, so to line it up I just die cut it a second time, lay that empty die cut over top, and then I can just put the die cut in place and hold everything in place with some low tack tape while I run it through my die cutting machine, and that way I know my sentiment's going to be lined up perfectly. There's a few different ways to do this, but that's probably my favourite way. And I just pop that up on the front of my card. Another sweet hedgehog. I think we're heading into the cat world now. Starting with a cat that has baked a birthday cake and is now icing it. How cool is that? I am colouring again with my Copics, and this time it's going to be a little bit of a different card in the fact that I'm going to be using the negative portion of the balloon to highlight my image. So I needed a cat, well, I needed a critter, but I wanted one with a cake, and that's purely because of the sentiment, and you'll see why in a moment. But going back, I'm digressing again, I'm actually making sure here that I colour plenty of the outside space because I want the negative portion to make sure that I've coloured enough so that when I do the die cut I've got enough background coloured. Now, I didn't say that very well at all, did I? But it is very early in the morning here. I'm probably not awake yet. See what I mean? That explains it better. So you can see I'm measuring how much colouring I need to do so that when I've die cut the larger balloon, because this is actually a massive die cut, and I just want to make sure that I don't have any of those white spaces showing around the edges. I will actually list all the colours that I've used today over at my blog. I have got the caps off to the side so you can probably see most of the colours as I'm colouring, and also I did kind of follow the colours through each of the critters, so they are using the same colours over and over. Now this is the sentiment. How cool is this? This is the reason I had to have a cake on one of these cards, purely for this sentiment, but it was worth it for sure. So this is similar to how I did the shaker card, but there's no shaky portion for this one. I'm just literally using this as a frame, really, a negative space frame. And I also decided to add one of the swirly tail balloon strings as well, and I kept all that white, so the only colour now is in that negative space. He's a happy cat. I would be too if I had a cake with green icing. So now for the last two cards, and I've gone down a different track here. I wanted something that had more colour in the background. I'd already done like two of the clean and simple versions of critters and balloons. So I was inspired. I watch videos while I'm creating. I have so many people that I follow on YouTube, and I'm inspired by them all. And I want to try every technique, of course I do. But I figured, I saw a video and I forgot that I hadn't used my Yupo paper in a while. So I thought it'd be fun to create my own design paper background using the 4 colours. And of course they don't play particularly well together, these colours, and I wasn't patient enough to wait for them all to dry. But I did try and put the ones that played nicer together closer than the others, and I had a lot of fun actually creating this bright background. It does take a little while for it to dry. You can heat set it. This is actually the heavy Yupo paper, so it's pretty thick and forgiving. But while it was drying, I thought it was time to colour my critter, and this is one Cool Cat, and he's from the Happy Times stamp set, and I just love the fact that he's got those sunglasses on and he's on the skateboard. So I used the same colours again to colour him in, and I haven't overdone it with the colouring. I didn't want it to look too perfect. I've added some simple shading on my critters with some warm greys, sometimes a couple of the tea grey, the T2 I think I might have used as well. But I didn't want to complicate it, because I am making 5 cards here and I want them to be fun, and I think the critters still look good, even though because they kind of got that sketchy look. I think they look great just coloured in fairly loosely. Right, so I gave him a green skateboard, and then this said I did need to actually fussy cut this little fella out, and I wasn't really looking forward to it because look at those whiskers. But I just wanted to show you that when you're fussy cutting something as intricate as this out, it's easier to cut the portions that are more intricate first, because it gives you somewhere else to hold onto the cardstock. So this way I can move my cardstock around quite freely while I'm cutting the intricate portions, and it gives me somewhere to hold on to. Whereas if I had to cut them last, I would have had to have hold on to the actual image, and it would have made it more difficult. So I grabbed another sentiment from that same Birthday Humour stamp set, heat set it with some white embossing powder on some black cardstock, and die cut that out with a balloon, which I've also popped up. I've cut my panel down to fit the front of my card, and then I've just pop up the balloon and the cat on the front of the card. I thought, even though there is a bit of pink in this, it's more like a tie-dye background. I would happily give this card to a man. It doesn't have to be for a girl. And I thought the black balloon just added such a fun element. I love those sunglasses. They crack me up every time. And my final card, I decided to do another card using the same kind of technique with the Yupo paper, because I just had so much fun doing the last one. I thought it'd be great to make one of those transparent balloons. Do you remember, I don't know, I shouldn't call it transparent, multicoloured balloons? I have this vague memory when I was growing up of packs of balloons with all different colours in them. And there was those ones that had lots of colours in one balloon, and they were always really difficult to blow up, but they looked the best. So that was what I was going for here, and I thought I might as well make yet another shaker card. So I've stamped out this little hedgehog. It's from the Time to Celebrate stamp set, and just done some simple colouring yet again. Now this panel, it's 110 Nina, and it's cut the same size as the front of my card. And I've already die cut the large balloon again, which is going to be the section where I put the shaker portion behind. And I thought I'd get all fancy and do a sentiment on some of this thick heat resistant acetate. And look at that. It's from the Good Wishes stamp set, and I just made a mess of it with the embossing powder. It took me an age to clear it up, but I did. I should have started again, but I couldn't. So I went with it anyway. Alright, so I've created a shaker window, same as I did last time, and this time I'm using some bright balls to make my shaker elements in my card. And I very gently had to remove the adhesive so that I could put a back on this. These balls go everywhere. You have to contain them, otherwise you are dealing with them on the floor for months. So I did kind of already mark on the foam on the back of the panel where I wanted the Yupo paper to sit, and then I could attach it in place, and that sort of covers my window perfectly. And then I've already got my shaker in place, ready to go, and I can attach that to the front of my card. Thanks for watching, and remember there are lots of ways that you can connect with Penny Black. Don't forget to like today's video and subscribe to the channel. Also visit them at Facebook and on Instagram. Check out their blog and their website. I've linked all those in the description below, and also I've added a link to my blog which has a full list of the supplies used in today's cards. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Gimme 5 Same but Different Cards with Penny Black. I look forward to seeing you here again next time. Bye.